long would it take for me to get to the person that I know that I am and that I know that I can be? How long will it take? Trust and believe me, I've asked the same questions.
From there, you were able to look at it and you were able to identify what's going on inside of you. We must do our own work.
It takes a lot of motivation, determination to be the person that you want to be.
When you come into Vibe Talk, I'm not some guru that's going to figure out what is wrong with you. You learn the technique of finding out why you hurt. And I'm so glad to announce, after all of our hard work, Trish and I are so happy to present to you the Healing Center, a place where you feel safe, a place where your family can come, a place where you can get into groups and learn to work on you, yourself, and you. Happy anniversary to Vibe Talk. 5 years and still connected. Doors are always open and they always have been open. Welcome to Vibe Talk Facing the Lion podcast. As you get used to our brand new theme song. You've heard it here first. I hope that every one of you have had a great weekend. I hope that your families are safe and well. And much love to all of the victims of the California wildfire. We are thinking about you. And just because it hasn't happened to us, we feel heartbroken. We feel love. We feel devastated. For those of us who have had friends, loved ones, neighbors, co-workers, and even the ones we don't know, our hearts grieve with you. Today is a very important day as we talk about emotional intelligence. We're going to find out what is emotional intelligence. How can we understand emotional intelligence and be okay with discovering emotional intelligence? When I started 5 years ago with Vibe Talk Facing the Lion podcast, we learned early on. Early on is what we learned. We're going to talk about that today. Emotional intelligence. And I thought it would be a very good day to start, because sometimes when things happen, we just don't know how to feel, what to feel, when to feel. But emotional intelligence is all about knowing and discovering your feelings and being in that feeling and understanding why you may be feeling the way that you do. Our 1-800 number is 888-721-9260. 9260. And we are, in fact,
live. We're streaming everywhere for the new audience. We are also on YouTube. We give you the 1-800 number because the 1-800 number is all about your being able to voice your feelings. You're being able to tell us what's on your mind. We know that there have been a lot of losses, and I cannot tell you how overwhelmingly grieved I feel because it has touched many of the people. The town that I grew up in, and I am definitely a city girl, Southern California. It hurts deeply. The middle school that I went to, Elliott Junior High, burnt down. I could remember so many fun moments. That was the growing up time where you thought you were grown but not grown enough to be from under your parents' care. It was fun and exciting to be at that junior high school, or they called it back then. So today we are going to take a deep look at emotional intelligence. And you will be able to understand it. Just 1 second, I have to pause. And so here we are. Emotional intelligence. We're going to take a look at that. And we hope that you will be right with us. And let's take a look at that. Sometimes our feelings are able to be managed. Can you come in, please? No worries. Sometimes our feelings are not able to be managed. But what is emotional intelligence? It's the ability, the know-how to put your emotions and understand the emotion of the people that are around you. How many of us have said, but I just don't understand? How many of us have said that? We've all said that. But now think about yourself in your ability to become self-aware, where you can regulate how you really feel. You can put that into a sentence. You know, babies, their language is understood. As parents, we become in tune to how they feel and what they feel just by their cries. But you and I, we're not babies anymore. So we are able to tell others how we're feeling. We also understand the feelings. The most easiest thing that we could do is say, I don't know. I don't know. Because that's easy, right? So we get to say that as like it is a pass of right. But really, when you say you don't know, you know
you're saying. Because chances are you do know. And I know from dealing with many clients for the last 5 years that you do know. So what I try to get you to do is say how you feel. And sometimes we don't say how we feel because it isn't because we don't know. It's because of fear or a hesitancy of something or another. Being emotionally intelligent is motivation, it's empathy, and it's having social skills. We want you to be able to know how, and that's what Vibe Talk Facing the Lion podcast is all about. So there are elements to how you and I feel. There are things that we must understand about ourselves to become productive. Because if we've got a bunch of people that are walking around and they say, well, I don't know how I feel, how can you help yourself? And how are you going to be able to help others? Because, see, you're going to be carrying your emotional intelligence, and if you're not connected to how you feel, how are you going to survive? How are you going to get by? I don't want you to just get by. I want you to survive whatever it is that you're going through. So your emotional intelligence, okay, is all about knowing and understanding both you and the others that will be around you. You know, a lot of people may avoid talking about their emotions. And I find that one of the best things that we could have done for 2025 is bring about the Healing Center. Because you see, that is going to help so many people. Now, when we think about it, your emotional intelligence has to do with all the feels that you're feeling. And today we're going to talk about it right now. I'm feeling overwhelmed. How about you, Trish? Good morning.
Good morning. And I'm also feeling overwhelmed. This morning was kind of hectic.
Yeah, yeah. So to be able to say how you feel and make a regular habit of saying how you're feeling, that, my dear, is called regulation or regulation of emotions. We want you to be able to say exactly how you feel. Is that an easy thing for you, Trish?
Um Sometimes it's not, but it's easier now since I had practice.
Okay, I can appreciate that. And how do you practice that? Can you give us an example? If I'm putting you on the spot, please let me know because we are live and unscripted.
I practice my feelings and saying my emotions. Sometimes I practice through music, and I also practice on here when I say, "Okay, guys, let me be honest with you guys." I practice it by doing that. And just keeping it as a normal thing and stopping myself from suppressing my emotions to expressing them.
Love it. So I think you, or I know that you understand emotional regulation. Because we say said a lot in here, and you've just given us an example of how you practice that. So the strategy of that is to name the emotion. You guys remember when we first started, I talked about naming the emotion? You name your emotion. I'm feeling. I said overwhelmed. Trish felt overwhelmed, hectic. Okay. Now, when we think about our feelings, how do you think that helps us? For one, we're giving the body and the mind a break. I call it reflection. Some people call it 5 minutes of silence or 15 minutes of silence. But it helps you to gather your thoughts. But sometimes life can be so hectic that you just cannot gather your thoughts. How many of you have been in that position?
I have.
Yeah, where you just couldn't collect your thoughts, and it's important to come to your thought moment. How about being able to notice when you need a break? You know, people have oftentimes said they need a break. And sometimes those people who say that they need a break, can I tell you this? Sometimes they never take the break.
That's me.
So we want, is that you, Trish? So today we're going to learn. Go ahead. Go ahead.
I was gonna say, yep, that is me 120%. And I know it's not good for me because I'm the kind of person that says, woo, I need a break. And I never get that break. And it's like, it's a war within me. It's like, I know you're tired, but let's keep going. Let's keep doing things. What else can I do? And it causes a wear and tear on my body. For example, with college, I knew I needed a break because during my winter break, I slept so much. Like, I never slept so much in my life. I've been sleeping a lot. And my mom would ask, like, why are you sleeping so much? Are you okay? I'm like, Mom, it's because I did a lot of homework. I had sleepless nights. I wake up early in the morning doing the same routine 24/8. I like to say that because that's how it feels to me. And
Mhm.
just doing so much, it's like a wear and tear on my body. So I slept a lot and I needed that rest. So I
Yes.
feel I feel ready now, but that's how I am when I say I need a break and I don't take that break.
Yeah. Me, because I like to keep myself busy, I know that I'm tired, and if I'm working hard at something, I don't want to stop it until it's done. Knowing that I need a break and feeling so overwhelmed because I know that I need that break. But again, we have to be mindful of ourselves. Be cognizant of your brain and the ability to say, I need a break. I need a break. But I also need to be able to rest. The body needs rest. And this is what I want you guys to realize, that when your body says rest, that's exactly what it means, to rest. And I would love to see you guys be able to be emotionally regulated, to say, I need that break. Aren't you deserving of it? You know, sometimes we are overworked. Overworked. You know, it's just like a kid going to school. And I'm not going to say that kids don't need homework, but when that teacher piles homework on that kid after a long day of school, what do you think happens to that child? And I want to bring the kids in here because we don't realize that our children have to learn through us. They don't always know how they're feeling or what it is that they're feeling. Everybody get that? They don't always know. And so we have to help them as people, as their guide. So if you're feeling some sort of stress and not knowing and not being aware, imagine the child feeling what they feel. Is everybody getting that? Of how that impact of emotional intelligence, you know, going back to the babies. Babies will whine, right? They will whine themselves or cry themselves to sleep. They can't tell you that they're tired, but you have to be intelligent enough to know the signal for it, you know. Um, so dealing with our children when they're young, sometimes they don't have the voice to be able to say, I'm tired. So in order to know ourselves or know them, we must know ourselves. We must know ourselves. How many of you agree with that? Knowing yourself first. I want you to think about
I
that. Go
I
ahead.
agree.
And I'm sure that there are so many of you that agree with that. Now, when we think about emotional regulation, there is nothing wrong with saying, I'm tired. I want everyone to say that if you feel that. I'm tired. So when we're tired, we may be aware that we're tired, but some of us don't allow ourselves to feel that feeling. So the next time that you're feeling I'm tired, do yourself a favor. Even if you're at work, there's a thing called power nap because you're going to get a break. Do that. A lot of people don't take power naps seriously. Go to the car literally, or even some places of work have a place where you can rest and do a power nap. 5 minutes, 15 minutes of absolute quiet. It will do your body and your mind good. When you are triggered, again, we're talking about emotional regulations. When you're triggered, do you realize it when something's going to trigger you? You know, it's like sounding alarm. And for instance, when we hear police sirens or uh, firemen, ambulance, do we not realize that that is a sound of alarm, a sound of something is happening? That is how your body is being triggered. Your body is like that alarm that says, uh-oh. It's like for me, I have been bitten by a dog before. So if I hear a barking dog, my alarm sounds off and I'm triggered that I know that emotion. So I've gotten this sense of I need to protect myself. especially if that bark is really near, I start to go back and I'm triggered because I was bitten by a dog. Now, there are other ways that you might be triggered, right? And a lot of times, if you're in our group, people are talking about their feelings, and you understand some similarity of the experience of what they're saying, and so you sound alarm. That trigger, people say, I don't like to get triggered. That trigger is also a safety net for you because it signals something happened or something is about to happen. Remember back in the day when the school bell rang, you were triggered. You were triggered that the bell is going to ring. And if it rings a second time, because we had a first and a second bell, that second one meant that you had seconds to get to class or you'd be marked late. Does everybody understand triggers?
I do.
Okay. Explain, Trish, if I'm not explaining well enough.
Um, Triggers to me, there's something that, like you said, it alarms you. It's like on a positive note, like if you see your favorite ice cream in the store and you're like, oh, that's my favorite ice cream. I remember when I was younger, that ice cream, it tasted amazing. It made me feel great. And every time you see that ice cream, you think of that memory right there. That's what triggering is on a positive note. Me personally, I don't like being triggered at all. I don't like it because I get anxious and I don't like to feel anxiety, but triggering and when I get triggered, it's healthy because it just means that I'm human. I have feelings, and sometimes it's a wake up call for me
Mm-hmm.
to tell myself, you know what, some things are still uh bothering to me. Some things are alerting me, so I need to work on them. So that's what I understand.
Yeah. So we just gave an example of a negative trigger and a positive trigger. Trish talked about the memory, a good memory, or one that may, and I talked about one that may not be such a good memory. So we wanted you guys to really come to a know of that and be ready to accept that. And many people do. And I want you to know and understand that many people feel exactly the way you feel. Many people feel that because we are emotional. We have emotions, I should say. We have emotions, and we definitely, beyond a shout of a doubt, need to understand that it's okay to feel what we feel. I want you all to know that. Now, how many of us talk through the emotions? Anybody talk through their emotions? I've learned to. And when I mean talking through the emotion, I'm talking about the emotion of today was a good day or today was an amazing day. Because you know what we do? We tend to clam up, or some of us are used to saying, when we say, how was your day? What happened? Some of us say, nothing. Now, is that true that nothing happened throughout the day? Let me tell you why that's not a true statement. Because before you guys came to Vibe Talk to listen, there were probably 5 things that happened before you came. Can you list them? And why am I talking about this? Because when you say nothing happened, you're dismissing your emotions. And when you're able to say how you feel, you are starting social conversation. You are being able to address, hey, you know what? I saw a really pretty bird today. Something happened. Hey, you know what? I was in the store and someone told me a funny joke. You are being emotionally regulated. Because every day something happens. Even if you tell nobody and write it down, your emotional intelligence should never be nothing happened. Now, here's what you can do if you don't want to talk about it, because we know that something happened today, this morning. We can say, I'd be glad to talk about it later. How's that sound to everybody? See, because what you're doing is changing. You have stated that you want to communicate. Maybe you're not communicating because you might feel a feeling, a type of feeling, or maybe you're going through something at the moment. It is better than to say nothing. That is not an emotional, intelligent answer. You all get that? We talked about sleep. We talked about getting enough rest, taking care of ourselves, and being able to. Now, I haven't been able to sleep all that well because I'm worried about my friends and the fire and all this that's been going on. And some people say you need a good night's rest, 8 hours. Um, I'm not a health coach, or a doctor, I should say. I'm not a doctor, so I'm not going to give you statistics, because some people can sleep a few hours and they're fine. Um, but getting enough sleep helps you to regulate your emotions, how you feel. If you don't get enough rest, guess what's going to happen? You're going to feel drained, exhausted. Now, how many of you validate your feelings and you don't feel guilty because you feel a certain way? Anybody?
I'm still working on that one.
Yeah? You feel guilty about having a feeling?
Yeah, I do.
Yeah. You know, that is not uncommon, ladies and gentlemen. Just so that you all know, it's not anything that is uncommon. It is important for us to validate. You know, you can look at certain people and you know that they're hurting. The eyes tell a lot. The facial expression tells a lot. And I can read a person's eyes and tell if they're happy or not, because I see past the smile. And I can tell if a person is really happy. The next time you get a photo of a family, I want you to study that family's expressions and see if you can do the same. But I also want you to validate you're feeling and what you're feeling. And that's what the Healing Center is about too. When it comes to regulating your emotions, it will be able to tell you about emotional regulations, what it is, and the strategies to use. We talked about writing journals. How many of you are still keeping a journal?
I don't have a journal right now, but I do this thing where I have to, when I do need to write stuff down, I text myself.
I
So I
love it.
text myself my emotions and I send it to me.
I love it. And here is something that I would love for all of you to start. When we first started, we had a U jar, and that U jar was to put something personal of yours. Like you could put your favorite scent, your favorite um, flower, a petal in there, a favorite note. It had to be all about you. I'd like for you to do a thing of your feelings. Starting today, get any kind of jar and write your feelings today. And then I want you to look back at your feelings. Pick one as you start building about your feelings. As you start to build about your feelings, make yourself a jar. And you're going to look back at your feelings and you're going to say, wow, I remember when I was feeling like that. Naming your feelings because you are still regulating your feelings. Does everyone understand that? You're still regulating your feelings. I want you to really understand that. Also, when you are thinking about your thoughts and your feelings, and let's do this as a feelings jar. We have the U jar. Oh, now this is a feelings jar because by the time the year is over, you will have experienced all the feelings. Going on about our emotional intelligence, I want you to think about why it's important. Why would you say it's important to regulate your emotions? Why do you think that's important?
I think regulating emotions is important because it's like telling yourself, I get you. It's like supporting yourself when you regulate your emotions, and it's allowing yourself to be human because we have emotions and that are meant to be felt. Your feelings matter. That's what regulating your emotions do for you. So
Mm-hmm.
that's why I think it's important.
Yeah, it's very important. Why are we talking about this? Because our podcast is all about your feelings. Our podcast is all about your emotions that you've experienced. Now, we're going to talk about self awareness. Self awareness. You are able to recognize your emotions, your thoughts, your values, and how they affect you. We have a thing called facing the mirror. It's mirror talk. And that is a lot of self-awareness. It's just like noticing something about yourself and then you fix it. You know, we've all had toothpaste running out of our mouths when we brush our teeth. That's a normal thing, right? We don't want anybody to see us looking like that, so we fix it. There might be sleep around the corners of our mouth and our eyes. We fix it. Some of us wake up with messy hair. We don't want anybody to see it, so we fix it, right? That's what the mirror is. It's a reflection of us. Thank God for mirrors. Try going outside while not looking in the mirror. Would you ever do that? If I gave that as a homework assignment, probably none of you would ever try to do that. Because why? We want to appear to be our best. Now, the mirror talk brings about self-awareness of our deepest self, looking beyond the outer exterior of ourselves. It begins to peer in the inner interior walls of our very being. We get our look back, or we get something that is called you know that thing, or a thing that whispers to us, come a little closer to me. We get that whisper that says, I need to fix it. That's one that nobody's standing next to you. And I like to use this analogy. If you've got a baby or you know of a baby, don't go out and grab yourself a baby. Put that baby next to the mirror, forward facing, and watch what the baby does. That baby thinks that's someone else. That baby doesn't know, hey, that's me. And that's kind of what our mirror talk does. It starts to discover you. It starts to define you. It starts to say, hey, I'm self-awareness. And I want you to realize that self-awareness is nothing wrong with that. You're aware of it. What are you going to do about it? So let's talk about the people who are introspectors. They're clear on what they are and who they are. But I'll tell you what they don't see. The blind spots. You ever been in a car and you have a blind spot? It's very difficult to see. Something's in your way, an obstruction. And you say, well, I know I got a blind spot, but I'm just going to peel out into the street. What's the harm of doing that? Because, some of us say, well, there's no harm if I don't fix it. Well, it's going to affect you, and it's going to affect how you grow or not. Now, being aware is knowing who you are and want to accomplish. You seek out and you value opinions. But if you want to become a leader, you fully start to realize the benefits of being self-aware, right? You're not the one that sees that blind spot and you're going to go full speed ahead. You're going to recognize, hey, this is a blind spot. I need to be careful. I'm aware that this is a blind spot. So are you a seeker? Where you are not really sure of yourself or what you stand for? So you feel stuck or frustrated with others. You're not aware of who you are or what you stand for. You're not even understanding how people see you. But now the pleaser, they can be focused, appearing a certain way to others. And they could be overlooking what really matters to them or you. And they make choices. You know about those old trusty choices. We've all made them. But every choice they're making is not one that is going to meet them. Guess what? Because they overlook what matters to them. That's called external self-awareness. Outside, what you appear. It's like looking at that mirror and you're worried, is there toothpaste on my mouth? Is there sleep in my eye? Does my hair look okay? That's external. But the internal has to do more with how you see yourself. You know that whisper in the mirror. Because everybody else may think you're beautiful, but when you come to that mirror, the inside of you will tell you, I'm a beautiful person, but yet I don't feel that way. That's the mirror talking. Do you remember when Snow White, the evil witch, do you remember when she asked a question? Everybody remembers that. And if you haven't saw Snow White, you have been living under a rock. I'm just going to tell you like that. And the one thing that the mirror starts to talk to her and tell her who she really is. Everybody understand that? And that's what happens. So how do we become self-aware? Self-aware. We have to acknowledge. Don't let the mirror do it. But I use the mirror because it's the perfect thing. That mirror is going to tell you the real reflection of yourself. Do you fix it? Or do you? We're going to be right back with Trisha's Treasures. And I think that we have one more thing before we go there. We're going to be right back. We're back, and we're talking all about emotional intelligence. Before we go to Trisha's treasures, there was something else that I briefly want to touch on just so that we are clear. And I want to talk on the benefits of being socially aware, or your social skills. We all have them, right? Social skills. What is a social skill? If you're here, some of you that are listening ask for help. That, my friends, is a social skill. How many of you practice that, asking for help? I used to think that it meant somebody's going to look at me like I can't do anything, like I'm a failure. But actually, asking for help is a very good tool because we all need help, right? Some of you, and I'm thinking of one group in particular, you may not like help. You know, when the honey says, turn this way, go this way, and you say, I know where I'm going, and your GPS has gotten you to the end of the road, but you still are dependent on that GPS, and you won't admit that you made a wrong turn. You know that group. How about listening to others? How are you at that? The Healing Center is all about listening to others and then hearing yourself. How are we doing with that? You know, sometimes it's very hard for many of us to listen because we do more talking. Here I do more talking. But I really want to listen to you because that is who I am. I'm among others. Sometimes getting along with others presents itself a challenge. Is that normal to all of you, or do you all say, I get along with everybody? How many of you say that? You're the perfect example of getting along with everybody and anybody until that one time somebody's going to come and they're going to irk the nerve right out of your existence. You know anybody like that? Yeah, we know lots of people like that. But getting along with them doesn't mean you have to be their best friend. Getting along with them means that you can still function. I discovered about myself. Lots of people get on my nerves. But am I able to function in society? That part. And the answer is yes, because I wouldn't be in the business that I'm in if I didn't get along with others. There are people who are really like that don't get along with anybody. And they move far, far, far away, living in the forest. Now, I don't mind that. But sometimes that's because they cannot adapt to social skills. That's not always the reason, but they'll tell you, because I've asked people, why do you live way out here? Oh, to get away from the traffic, because that's what they're saying. Now, when we think about our behavior, how many of you are responsible for the way you behave? Sometimes things can make me so mad, and I have to come back and I have to say, what part did I play in upsetting a family member or a friend? And I have to be responsible. Or are you the person that will pass it off and say you did nothing? Like I like to watch a lot of videos where the police problem arrest people, and you know what the people say? What are you arresting me for? I did nothing. Do you think that's a responsible person? They know that they're getting arrested for a reason. Remember that thing I said about the I don't know? See, be responsible. That is all part of emotional intelligence. When children start school, they're learning to follow rules. They're learning to share. They're learning to get along with others. They're learning to take turns, listen, pay attention. But what are we learning as adults? Do we take these social skills and use them in our workplace, our places of worship, our places of play, when we go to dinner? But some of us are not used to these things. You know, if you're going out to dinner, do you and your family have your cell phones out? You're practicing social media, but not social skills. Do you see how the what script is right now? Social skills. That means that you're able to communicate. One time I went to a restaurant and everybody at the table had a cell phone. They were looking down at their cell phones. Social skills, interchange of communication. Those are important because those are the things that are going to help you survive in the world that we live in. I want you to be able to, before we turn to Trisha's treasure, to get the help to understand and learn, understanding your abilities, being able to accept and think about your emotional intelligence. We're going right to Trisha's treasure. Trish?
When I was when I started my journey on learning to love me, I was also starting the journey of regulating my emotions. So it was hard at first because when I started the journey, I was also going through a breakup, still healing from that, and healing from just being overwhelmed and tired from my whole 12 years of school and just being mistreated. I was going through a lot. So now I had to learn how to deal with the new life, the new phase of my life that was okay. Now these people, they can't bother you anymore. Now, who are you? What are you going to do about it? How are you going to grow from this? Can you continue on? And so, asking those questions, I discovered that, okay, well, there are certain things that trigger me that I'm not open to express to other people, or there are certain things that I feel guilty to express. And like I told you guys earlier, that I express my emotions, I started putting it into practice with music, because at first I wasn't making as much music as I was doing. And I wish I did it as much as I do now, because music is my therapy. That's how I talk, and that's how I let things go, through the music and the melody. But before that, I was balancing things, trying to find the balance of who I was, or should I feel this way, or is this feeling really that necessary towards this situation? I was asking those questions, and I realized that, you know, you're going to feel something towards something, if that makes sense. You're always going to have a feeling towards anything, regardless of if it's food, or in a atmosphere, or where, or what kind of clothes you wear, or what movie you see. Feelings are a major part of your life. And that's why it should be practiced and regulated. So when I started making music, because I didn't know how to work the technology with music, I got lazy and I gave up on it. So, but right now we have technical difficulties all the time and we still get through it. So that's what I'm doing with music right now. I practiced sharing my emotions with music through the first time I dug in deep with my emotions was the breakup. Like I told you guys before, I started my journey, I was dealing with healing from a breakup. So I did an album called Closure. You can find that on SoundCloud. And when I did that album, I remember breaking down. I was crying. It was a long cry, and I remember calling my best friend. I was like, I can't breathe. I don't know what's happening right now. Like, I'm trying to make this song, but it's just hitting too hard right now. And I was like, I know I need to do this. Like, I need to do this because it's good for me. Like, I really need to. I need to let it go, because I remember that if somebody mentioned that person's name, I would get very, very, very upset. Like, I remember telling my sister, don't say that man's name in my presence. And I was like, and thinking about it now, I was like, wow, I was really mad at that person and I needed to let it go. So when I was crying, I was telling my best friend, I need to do this. And it feels like I'm hyper. Like I feel so, like I can't find myself. And he was like, okay, you need to just breathe. And so I breathed. I paused and I went into the closet. Guys, I do music in the closet. So that's why I went into the closet and I started to breathe in and out. And this is my second year at Vibe Talk. So, yeah. So I was breathing in and out and I felt calm. And so I began to write. And so I came up with the song Heartbreak Song. And the lyrics are, how am I supposed to breathe when all your lies are suffocating me? So much noise inside my head. Like, why won't you let me forget? Why won't you let me forget? If I had to lose you again, I swear I would. I swear I would. And so that was the lyrics to that song. And doing that song, it felt like breathing. It really did. So I say that to say, if you feel that feeling of, it feels like when you shake a soda bottle and when you feel the air pressure building up in that bottle, and when you open that soda and then all of a sudden it explodes, when you feel that feeling within you, I hope you understand that maybe it's time to start regulating some of your emotions, to get to the root of the problem, to understand yourself more, to build knowledge and practice your emotional intelligence skills. So that's all I have to say.
Now that's lion power. Thank you so much. Trisha's Treasures, invite you please to go look at it on our YouTube page. We are now at 50 subscribers. Please, guys, go and subscribe. It costs you nothing. And we want you to know there are so many beautiful things. Thank you, Trish. And you can find our YouTube page at Facing the Lion, Vibe Talk Facing the Lion. Please share. We've also got some information in case you guys have not seen it. We are really trying to reach out with as much as we can to help those who have survived this devastating fire that is just so heartbreaking. And we are so thankful that there are firemen from all over that have come to try to put aware of things, and we deal with these kind of topics. Our hearts, our thoughts, and our prayers go out to all families affected by this. So, what's the take home is our new way of ending it. The take home for me is that if we say what we mean and we are not dismissing our feelings and we make that valuable within ourselves, it's going to become valuable to other people. They're going to start to see in you, wow, she really cares about her feelings. And that's when you're going to find people in relationships that respond to you. Because if you care about your emotional intelligence, they're going to care about your emotional intelligence. And least but not, or last but not least, thinking about your emotional intelligence, that it's okay to feel what you're feeling. And that's why we name the feeling. Trish, what about you? What's your take home?
My take home is that healing has a lot to do with getting to the bottom of what the problem is, and all healing and getting to the bottom of the problem is embracing your emotions, embracing my emotions, and practicing saying how you feel, and just understanding that you have a right to feel the way that feelings are freedom. So my take home from that that is I'm going to work on trying to not feel so guilty in when I'm angry with someone or when I say, no, I'm too tired to talk to you right now. Like, I have to understand that that's my emotions and that's okay. That's normal. And when I tell them that, it's their job to respect that, but it's okay because I respect my feelings. I'm respecting how I feel in that moment. So that's my take home.
We still learn and discover even through our take. I want to thank my amazing co-host. Thank you. I want to thank you, the audience, for taking a chance and making us the podcast that you want to listen to. And we're streaming all over the place. This is our year of 2025, so this is a brand new podcast um, that we're putting in today. Our song for the day, guys, is I Second That Emotion by none other than Mr. Smokey Robinson and the Miracles. So that will be our reel today. Go check it out at Vibe Talk Reel. The Healing Center is now open for those of you who are living across in other areas besides the United States. We have made it possible for you to be connected to the Healing Center. How so? The way we started was by video. We got on video and we started doing this podcast. And so therefore you came. How do you get connected if you're living, let's say, in Australia? You're going to click on to us. Hey, I'd like to do a video call, or when you see us live, okay, jump on. But we're here to connect with you as well. That's where we started from, and we don't forget where we came from. So we're not leaving you out. You can always set up a video call with me. You can always do that. So in order for you to know where we are, please follow our page. If you like us, we love it. If you don't like us and you feel like other podcasts, that's your choice. But we want you, please, please, if you want to meet with us, you have that choice. And we'll set up a video call. I will not do video calls from WhatsApp. Okay? When we do a video call, I want to know that you are you, and I want you to know that I'm me. Okay? And the Healing Center, wow. Boy, am I so excited about it. We welcome your donations because they really do help us complete that center. It is free, so you don't have to have money, but we do want you to keep in mind that the donations do help us. People have donated so far. We don't use the money for a personal gain. It's all for the Healing Center. And wow, we've had walk-ins. We've had individual sessions. I was so busy last week that I couldn't believe we really had the Healing Center up. So thank you, everybody. Thank you so much. And we look forward to talking with you again. Please, please share our podcast with other people. Thank you. And I challenge you, please, to be your best at being a better you. Thanks, guys, and have a great
Because I don't want you just to make a resolution. I want you
was really about to lose it, then I got the vibe with it. I really took my time with it. I really love the ride with it. Really got the vibe with it. I took my time with it. I really love the ride with it.